Hey, let me just check on the video I posted.
Wait, what?
Oh my gosh, as of now, I have 300 subscribers. Thank you so much. I couldn't have done it without your support. Now my goal of 1,000 subscribers in 1 month is closer than ever. All we need is 700 more subscribers and then I make it to the goal of 1,000. Yay! So thank you so much again, and I'll get right into the video. Does tracing make you a bad artist? This is one of those art debates that can get really heated. Some people think tracing is basically cheating, while others think it's just another tool artists can use to learn. Honestly, in my opinion, I think there's a huge difference between tracing a photograph of a real person and tracing another artist's work. So I want to talk about where I think the line should be drawn. And before anyone says it, no, this isn't me saying tracing automatically makes you a bad artist. First, I think it's completely okay to trace real people, especially if you're using it in a way to create your own artwork. For example, maybe you find a photo of a person and you want to use it as a reference for a drawing. You might trace over the basic shapes, figure out the proportions. I don't think using tracing as part of that process automatically makes the final artwork bad or dishonest. In my opinion, though, it is important to understand what you're doing when you're tracing. If you're tracing a photo and then posting your drawing, you're not necessarily claiming that you personally invented the person's pose or anatomy. You're creating artwork based on something that exists in the real world. And honestly, sometimes tracing can help you understand things that are difficult to figure out just by looking. You can see where the curves actually go, you can understand the proportions. And yeah, it's just really helpful. So if you're tracing a real person as part of making your own artwork, I don't think you should feel guilty about it. I literally do it all the time. However, there is one thing I think is really important. Try to actually learn while you're doing it. Tracing can become a problem for your own artistic growth if you just mindlessly trace everything. Imagine you trace a face, you follow every single line, finish it, and then move on. You haven't really stopped to ask why the face looks the way it does. You haven't thought about the structure, the perspective, even the shapes. You basically just copied the lines. You didn't get any useful information out of it. Instead, while you're tracing, ask yourself questions. Why does this line curve this way? Where is the skull underneath the hair? Where is the shoulder actually connecting? What would happen if I tried drawing this without the reference? That turns tracing from simply copying lines into an actual study. You can even trace something once, put the reference away, and then try to drawing it again from memory. That can be a really good way to see what you actually learned. Because the goal shouldn't be I can trace this perfectly, the goal should become I understand this well enough that I don't need to trace it. And that's why I don't think tracing itself is the problem. The problem is when tracing becomes a replacement for learning. If every time you want to draw a hand, you have to trace a hand, you're not giving yourself much of a chance to understand hands. But if you trace a hand, study the structure, draw it yourself, make mistakes, look at your mistakes, and try again, that's different. You're using tracing as a stepping stone. Think of it like training wheels. There's nothing wrong with using training wheels while you're learning how to ride a bike, but if you never take them off, you're never going to learn how to bounce without them. And I think tracing can work the same way. Use it when it helps. Just don't let it become the only way you know how to draw. But honestly, I know there are just days we just want to get the drawing done, so yeah, use it however you want. Alright, now this is where I think things get much more serious. Tracing another artist's work is something I think should be treated very differently. If another artist created a drawing, painting, illustration, or other artwork, and you trace directly over the work, I think that's okay for practice. You can absolutely use another artist's work to study. You might want to understand how they draw anatomy, study their art style. You might want to trace over their drawing privately so you can figure out how they construct it. As a learning exercise, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But there's a very important rule. Do not claim that traced artwork as your own original work. If you trace another artist's drawing and then post it like, look what I drew, while pretending you created the original artwork yourself, that's where I think you've crossed the line, because now you're taking credit for somebody else's work. And that's not the same thing as learning from them. There's a really important distinction between these two situations. You privately trace an artist's drawing to study their anatomy, that's practice. You trace their drawing, change a few things, post it, and say you drew it yourself, that's not okay. And even if you don't technically say, I drew this from scratch, posting it in a way that strongly implies you created the entire thing, it can be super misleading. Don't do that, trust me. If you want to share a study, be honest about what it is. You can say something like, this is a study based off another person's work. I traced it to understand the construction. That completely changes the context. You're not pretending you invented it. You're showing people that you're learning. And honestly, I think there's nothing embarrassing about saying you're practicing. Every artist was a beginner at some point. Credit is also important. If you're studying another artist's work, acknowledge the artist and the original piece when appropriate. And remember, credit doesn't magically turn copying into your own original artwork. Saying credit to the original artist doesn't mean you can now post their drawing as if it's yours. Credit is about being transparent about the source. It isn't permission to take ownership of someone else's work. If an artist has specifically said they don't want their artwork traced, copied, or used for studies in a particular way, you should respect that too. I think a lot of arguments about tracing come from people treating the word tracing like it automatically describes someone's entire artistic ability. It doesn't. Sometimes people can trace something and still be an amazing artist. Someone can also never trace anything and still have a lot to learn. Tracing doesn't determine whether you're talented. What matters is what you're using it for, how you're using it, and whether you're being honest about what you made. If you're using tracing to understand proportions, anatomy, perspective, lighting, or construction, it can be a useful tool. If you're using it because you're scared to draw anything without tracing forever, maybe it's worth challenging yourself to work without it sometimes. And if you're tracing another artist's work, keep it in the category of study and practice, not something you're claiming as your original creation. So, does tracing make you a bad artist in my opinion? No, I don't think tracing automatically makes you a bad artist at all. Use it to learn and to understand what you're struggling with. Use it to help you break down difficult references, but don't mindlessly trace everything without thinking what you're learning from it. And most importantly, if you're tracing another artist's work, please don't present the artwork as your own. There's a difference between learning from someone's art and taking credit for someone's art. You don't need to be ashamed of practicing. Everyone's still practicing at the end of the day, even the professional artists you look up to. And honestly, I think the most important part, being an artist isn't about proving that you never use a shortcut, never use a reference, or never struggled. It's about learning, improving, and eventually becoming capable of making things that come from you. So if tracing helps you get there, use it as a tool. Just don't let the tool become the whole process. Anyways, as always, that's just my opinion. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know if you agree or if you disagree. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe could you possibly consider liking and subscribing? And once again, thank you so much for all the support. It really does mean a lot to me. So yeah, have an amazing, beautiful, wonderfully splendid rest of your day. Bye-bye!